Manifesting secrets. I'm going to tell you how to manifest effortlessly and make it a daily habit. We're always manifesting. The inner world of mind controls the outer world of matter. Once we begin to understand that the inner programming, our subconscious mind, is really running the show, then we can take control of our minds and start to manifest what we desire rather than living by default. I want to explain to you how this works. Most people on the planet are clueless as to how it works. They still think that the outer world is controlling them, and that's why most people are reactionary, always reacting to what's happening on the outside and not realizing that once they learn how to control the inside, their mind, their thoughts, their very center of being, and once they discipline themselves to think the thoughts that they choose rather than just the thoughts that pop into their heads every day without any real mindfulness of how they got those thoughts, they begin to take control of their lives. And this is a process. It's a process that's never ending, because as long as we're living in this three-dimensional world, we have our five senses that are constantly feeding us and telling us in a hypnotic way that we need to believe what we see, what we feel, what we taste, what we touch, what we smell is real. But the real and eternal is the inner world. And it's called the spiritual dimension. Jesus called it the kingdom of heaven. There are many names for it, depending on what your background is. But once we begin to understand that we can take charge of the inner world and reprogram ourselves, we can live happy, harmonious lives and have better experiences and achieve our goals. We all came here for a purpose. And once we get in touch with what that purpose is, we start to align our thoughts and then our actions and the steps that we take with that purpose. And life becomes actually much more effortless, because if something comes along that's not really aligned with our purpose, it's very easy for us to say, no, thank you. But if it is aligned, we have the intuition, the internal sense that it's the right thing to do, the right next thing. And the reality is our intuition gives us better, more accurate information than our intellect. And when we start to rely on the intuition, we make better decisions. That's a proven fact. They've scientifically studied intuition compared to the intellect. And scientists have really discovered that you're right more times using intuition. Einstein knew that too. He developed all of his theories basically when he was using the art of daydreaming or intuition. Of course, he was a very talented, skilled scientist, but he got his best ideas when he was thinking outside of the box and tapping into his intuition, his higher self. I want to give you some techniques that you can use in order to manifest. First of all, you need to know what you want to manifest. You need to set a goal. It needs to be something within the realm of possibility, something that could be the next best step for you. In other words, if you're making, $50,000 a year and you want to make $10 million next year, that may not be in the realm of possibility for you to grasp. So you want to go in increments, go to 60, 70, 80,000, keep setting new goals along the way, and you'll get better results. So it's important to work within the realm of possibility. If you want to be employed in a certain field, it needs to be something that you have an aptitude for, or something that you have a passion for. I know I wouldn't want to be a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, but I do enjoy teaching metaphysics. And it took me a couple of years to figure out that that really was what I passionately wanted to do, because it was so close to me, I couldn't see it. Sometimes the thing that we really want is so close. It's something that we do without even thinking about making money doing it, because we just love it as a hobby, or we love thinking about it or reading about it or, exploring it. And that could be very much what could be your purpose in life because you love it so much. We all have different aptitudes and desires. But get very clear on what the goal is that you want to set for yourself. That's very, very important. And then I want you to create a clear idea or mental picture of what everything is going to be like when you've achieved that goal. This is very important because, as I said, the inner world, your imagination, which you use in order to think every day, it's always operating, is what is manifesting in your outer world. So when you imagine that there is a screen in front of your eyes when you close them, and you get very relaxed, and you imagine that on that screen, you can see this thing that you're desiring to manifest. But it's important that you don't just look at it like a movie. You must step into the movie and feel yourself operating within that movie. And when you look down and you see your hands, you know that you're in your body in the movie. You're not looking at yourself from a distance. You're actually living in the movie. And the more you can do this and go within and feel yourself experiencing what that thing is that you want to experience, it might be a new relationship. It might be a move to a different location, a house that you want to live in. I've done this many times with different things. The very first time I learned to manifest, in fact, I was taught how to write down on a card the thing that I wanted to manifest. And what I wanted was a move to New York City to a beautiful apartment. I was living in Chicago. And I wrote it down and I visualized myself walking around New York City every night and every morning when I woke up. And within a very short period of time, I was living in New York City in a beautiful apartment. And that made me realize how powerful our mind is, in that we can think of something and then everything just falls into place. And it seemed so effortless that it was just not even like a challenge or work. It was just natural. And that's how manifestation works. Once we go into the frequency of being that thing that we desire, it just naturally shows up in our lives, because the mystics know that this experience that we're living in is a waking dream. It's temporal. Our spiritual, eternal self is living in a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and everything can be perfect in that realm where our higher self is living. And the higher self also knows how to guide us to the next best thing that we can experience in this life once we learn how to tap into it and communicate with it. So it's important to do this visualization before you go to sleep at night, so that your higher self, when you're resting, when you've turned off your conscious mind, can take care of things and set up the right connections. You don't have to think about how it's going to happen. We call that the bridge of incidents. There's a man named Neville Goddard who taught that there is a bridge that connects where you are now and where you desire to be. But it's not our business as to how that bridge is going to connect those two things. We just have to trust that it will happen, because we call them miracles when something really shockingly unusual happens in the life. But the reality is there was always a bridge. The cause and the effect are connected somehow. But our higher self has ways of making the connection that we can't even imagine. That's why we see people talking all the time about how it was like a miracle. All of a sudden, what they had been thinking about manifested in their experience. Sometimes it can happen instantaneously, and sometimes it takes a while. It just depends on how much resistance is in there or how badly you want it. Although if you really, really, focus on, I've got to have this, or I'll die, pushing it away is a bad thing. You can do that. You have to be gentle with it. You have to accept that it's coming and just trust and have faith. Faith is the thing that is part of the bridge that makes it all happen. Because when you have faith that it will happen, no matter what, you just know it, it's yours, you own it, it's already happened, and it has to manifest in your experience. Now, when you're going about your day, if there's something that you're working on, like maybe more income, better job or something, whenever you're going around doing your daily thing, you're feeling like you've already experienced that new phase of yourself, that better version, you're already making more money. You're already living in that new position that you want, that better lifestyle. If you feel like it's already happened, then it can effortlessly manifest into your life. You have to give it positive energy. The minute fear and doubt creeps in, you have to turn away from it. Now, how do you do that? You have to fill your thoughts with massive doses of love, compassion, gratitude, positive energies that can keep you in that vibration where you're expecting only good things to come your way. And that's how your manifestation can show up, because it's all about being in the right state of mind, the right mindset. The minute you go down that path of negativity and start to doubt and question whether or not it could really happen for you, you block it, and you don't want to do that. So fill your mind with positive thoughts every day. Have a practice of constantly feeding yourself positive affirmations, positive material. Go to positive movies if you like movies. Listen to positive teachers. They're all on YouTube. You can pick up an awful lot of positive information from all the different teachers that are out there on how to keep yourself in that higher frequency. And once you understand that you're in control, you're the master of your ship, you're creating your own universe moment to moment, it becomes an exciting thing to take control of the reins. Of course, some people don't want the responsibility. Now, if you'd rather live by default and let the negative emotions run your life, or react to everything that's happening out there in the world the way people who don't have control of their lives do, they just react to every piece of bad news that comes along on their TV, or they can't step out and be separate. It's very important to realize that if you want to be the master of your destiny, you must come out and be separate. And you cannot let negative people that are in your life suck your energy. In fact, while you're doing this process of manifesting whatever it is you're desiring, don't talk about it to anyone unless it's someone who's completely on the same page as you. And that's a rare thing, because I find a lot of people have jealousy when they find someone who's working in a positive way on themselves. They don't want to hear it because it makes them feel small. It makes them feel like they're not doing anything. And they can get very ugly about it. So it's very important to be secretive and keep it to yourself when you're working on manifesting something, because it just doesn't do you any good to spread it around. It'll deplete your energy. Some people will start holding negative visions of what you're desiring, and that can have an effect on it, because we're all connected on an energy level. We are all one. And that's why there are such things as remote healing, remote viewing, telepathy. I've proven that all of these things are totally real, and they are because we're all connected in this quantum field of energy that the scientists are now talking about, where anything is possible. There's always a next best version of yourself. You do not need to be stuck and feel like there's no way to break out of whatever this pattern is that you've gotten yourself in. We all are living in these hypnotic states to a certain extent because that's just the way it works in this three-dimensional world. Napoleon Hill called it hypnotic rhythm. Once you think something over and over and over again, you get in a groove, in a rut. It's automatic every day. So if you really want to improve yourself and lift yourself out of a state that doesn't serve you anymore, you need to break away by filling your mind with the antidotes, the positive, empowering, uplifting thoughts that will fill you with hope, desire. Burning desire is very important for manifesting. Once it becomes a burning desire, something that you want to do, you see people all the time that are grossly overweight, and then all of a sudden something clicks and they get a burning desire to lose that weight, and they just do everything they can. They exercise every day, they change their diet, they think differently about themselves, and you see these before and after pictures that are just totally amazing. Many times you hear about entrepreneurs who came from terrible backgrounds, and that's a very motivating force for them. They realize they don't want to live like that. They were born into poverty, maybe, or very difficult situations, and that stimulates and motivates them to make something of themselves and to work at changing their lives for the better. And they're willing to put in the time, the effort, and the hours. But most people who are born kind of middle class or upper middle class or whatever, comfortable enough to pay the bills and eat and have a roof over their head, can be very unmotivated in order to change the way they think, because they get by. They get by with this, they get by with that. It's the same thing with health conditions. Until we reach a crisis, many times we just take it for granted that it doesn't matter if we're thinking negative thoughts about other people or carrying a lot of anger or negativity in our minds, because it's not affecting us until we realize that it can affect our health and our mental states. And then we want to change. But don't wait until it's too late. Now is the time to take control of your life and to take control of your thoughts and create a whole new abundant life for yourself, because it's there within you in order to do this. Inner power is God within you. And once you get that you are the master, all you have to do is learn how to align your thought properly, read the right books, listen to the right teachers, have a desire to live a positive life rather than living in misery. What did he say? Most men live lives of quiet desperation. You really don't want that. You want to be able to look back on your life and say, what a great adventure this was. I had a blast. I learned so much. Life is also a classroom where we're learning these lessons, they say. And whatever is presented to us that needs to be overturned, corrected, transformed is our lesson that we're working on. And when we have the tools in order to make it happen, transform it, we can feel that we've accomplished something, and we realize we don't have to repeat that lesson again. It's done. It's finished.